Hello traders, welcome to this live webinar with Elite Currency. My name is Chris Forsick and we're going to be continuing our series on automated trading systems and strategies. So welcome once again. This is the 10th episode already, and we're going to dive into basically our newest EA called Zeus EA. Maybe some of you already have heard about it in July if you're following Elite Currency closely. But for those that have not heard about this EA, I will dive into some of the details. And also, we completed more than 4.5 years of backtesting. So that is a lengthy period of time for any system and any time frame. But this particular strategy takes place on a 5-minute chart. So specifically for a 5-minute time frame, this is a huge, enormous amount of data. Just imagine how many candles are involved in such a testing, and it did take actually a couple of weeks to actually, fully complete that testing. So, I mean, I think that I did the math. I think we're talking about more than 300,000 candles in that time frame, which, if you were to compare that on a weekly chart, you would be literally talking about, a crazy, or a weekly chart doesn't even make sense, but let's say a daily chart, you'll be looking at really a very, very lengthy back testing. So that's what we did with Zeus EA, very, very long back testing, and results pretty much equal across that whole time frame, which is a great sign for its robustness in a longer period of time. It doesn't guarantee anything. Of course, we have to always indicate that past performance is not a guarantee for future performance. But that, in my view at least, in my humble opinion, obviously the more testing you have with a longer track record, the more it has was, the more the system was able to overcome differences in environment, in economics, and the more robust the system is, and the higher the chances, in my view, that the system will keep performing as in the past. There's never a guarantee, though, of course. So now let's start. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out through the chat box, of course, and let us know anything that is on your mind. Otherwise, what you see here is a strategy test that has been uploaded to my FX book, so that you have all the same details as usual with my FX book. And well, let's go through it. First of all, I think that we all can see the equity curve in the middle, and it runs up from zero pretty much in a very neat uptrend with not much volatility, not much retracements there. Pretty much, smooth equity curve, as you can see. Of course, there are some moments where there is more gain, some moments where the curve might be flat, but there's really no massive kind of pullbacks in that equity curve. So I think that red line there with the dots indicates that. Now, the funny thing is, it has so many number of trades, more than 6,000 trades in those 4.5 years. So it's so much data that it doesn't fit actually on the graph, because as you can see, it ends in 2018, October, I think 2018, somewhere there. I'll double check that soon, but so it doesn't fit. There's so many trades, so much data. So that's a huge number of trades. Not only is it a huge number of time, but it doesn't mean much if you have 10 trades in those 4.5 years. Then the information would not be valuable. But that's not the case with the Zeus EA. Not only is it a long period of time, but there are a enormous amount of trades. 6,000 trades basically boils down to, if you do the math, I think it was about. I think it's actually more than 6,000. The 6,000 is only for those 2 years. It's actually about 12,000. I think it was about 250 trades per month on average, which is, I guess, about 20. per day. So this is, that's a pretty big number per day, per trading day, plus minus maybe a little bit less, but just a ballpark figure. So it is some kind of, um, what do you call it, scalping kind of system, maybe even higher frequency system. All right. Although I'm not sure if 20 is enough for that, but it is kind of definitely a sort of scalping approach, and it's consistent as you can see. 70% win rate in this backtesting, but these statistics are only for 2016, 2018, because as I said, the backtest just didn't fit on the MyFX book page, funny enough. All right. What else can be said? Well, typically this system is aiming for smaller wins. As you can see, the average win is almost 3 pips, whereas the average loss is a little bit more than 4 pips. So, but it compensates that with a higher win rate, basically. Profit factor, in this case, in this particular time frame, 1.49. That's pretty good. Average trade length is 8 hours, 42 minutes. Here you can see that this particular part of the test is up to October 2017 because it just didn't fit. So I'll show you the rest. I'll show you 2018, 2019, and 2020 in a different test. This gain was made with the lowest risk version, or not maybe the absolute lowest risk, but one of the lower risk versions with 1 lot size per 10,000 capital. But you could actually do the same performance with 1 micro, actually with 2,500. So this performance could actually be 4 times as high, and that would basically mean 360% gain in those 4.5 years rather than 91%. That depends on the trader, what type of risk they feel is appropriate. With this particular risk setting, taking 1 micro with 10K, with 10,000, the drawdown was 14%. Of course, if one would trade 1 micro with 2,500, the drawdown would be 4 times as much. The profit would be 4 times as much, but the drawdown would be 4 times as much as well. So then it would be 56% drawdown. So whether you feel comfortable with that depends on from trader to trader. I can show you the full overview here. We have an article explaining that was released on August 15th. And you can see that if you invest 2,500, the gain is over 9,000. The gain is the same no matter how much capital you add there, for that 1 micro at least. So of course, if you have less capital attached to that 1 micro, the gain percentage-wise will go up, although the gain in absolute terms is the same, but it's able to make that 9,000 out of 2,500. So the percentage, of course, goes up. That means the average profit per year goes up, and that means the average profit per month goes up, but also the drawdown goes up. Okay, so typically, we ourselves trade with 2,500 capital. I think most traders probably would be okay with that. I don't think the drawdown is, and this is a possible drawdown. It's not to say that this is a regular drawdown or often occurs, because if you look at the back testing here, it's pretty much a decent flat, not flat, but an uptrend in that equity curve with not many big ups and downs or big volatility. So this drawdown is not necessarily something that has to occur often, but could occur, and traders have to be aware of that and be on guard of that. But I don't think it happens, as far as I can see, it doesn't happen too often. So yeah. So anyhow, of course, with more capital, the same gain, absolutely, but relatively, the gain goes down, and therefore the profit per year, profit per month, and the drawdown goes down. So this shows a very nice table summarizing everything. Personally, we stick to the main way of trading that, which is with 2.5K. But there's nothing wrong with, if a trader wants to use 3.5K be a bit more risk conservative in that regard, and just make that drawdown a little bit lower, that potential drawdown for a little bit less gain, for instance. So 6.6% per month is the average expectancy in the long run. Of course, every month there's going to be fluctuations, of course, etc. Not bad. I think I'm happy with that. Of course, certain EAs might be more, so it's I think important to see it not as a EA that one chooses this or that. I think it's best to see it like this and that. We are trying to build more EAs so that there is a range of different types of EAs available, so that traders have the ability to construct their own portfolio in a way, right? Investors do the same when they invest their capital in, for instance, the stock market. They typically don't put all the capital on one stock, right? They spread. This is the standard kind of approach, that they do a portfolio and spread their capital amongst 10, 15, maybe more stocks, so that there is a risk distribution there. And well, we want to do the same with the Forex and CFD trading, so that there is more choice and traders can allocate capital to their preferred systems and decide how much risk they want to take on which strategy. Of course, all these strategies are more risky compared to, let's say, buying a big IT tech stock, obviously, but that's of course the nature of the game. That is the nature of Forex and CFD. But on the flip side, that's also the chance of potentially using that leverage to, of course, the potential at least to gain more profits. So the first question is, how much do you have risk capital you can spare and afford to lose? If not, then Forex and CFD trading is not for you. If yes, and you think that you can afford that savings and risk that savings, then the next question is, how much are you going to invest or trade, right? How much of your savings are you going to put on Forex and CFD? And then once you allocate a certain percentage to Forex and CFD, how much are you going to allocate to which system? How much are you going to put on manual trading, if any at all? How much are you going to put on Zeus EA? How much are you going to put on different EAs? And what we're trying to do at Elite Currency is make offer a wider approach so that traders have that choice. Zeus EA is an EA that I think offers maybe has less gain, but offers some interesting features, like a pretty consistent equity curve. And if you look at the profit division, it is pretty much, and don't forget, this is the least risky version. So you can multiply this by 4 basically if you trade it with 2,500 capital. And you can see a pretty constant gain. So once again, if you multiply this by 4, because this test was done with 10,000 capital, then it's 10%, 10%, 10%, 8%, 5.2, 10%, 4.5, 4, 4, 4, 10, 8. Pretty consistent there. So that I think is an interesting feature of this EA. Pretty good gains, nothing earth-shattering either, but pretty consistent gains, what I think is interesting as well. I should note that it is not recommended or not really possible to trade with less than $2,500 or euro, because the drawdown would be too high, or actually the account could be lost. So the minimum recommended capital is 2,500. That might be too much for some of you. Some of you might not have that 2,500 to spare. So that's nothing we can do about that. That's how the system works. The basic smallest unit is a micro. So the smallest capital recommended is 2,500. If it is too much capital, then the only way would be to wait and save money and get to a point where you have that risk capital to start with Zeus EA. There's no way to avoid starting with 2,500. Okay, for those that are okay with 2,500, but you're able to trade with more, then there's that option of buying multiple licenses, and that's explained a little bit lower on. This article explains a lot of things, by the way, so if you want more details, definitely take a look at this article. But let's say you want to trade with 10,000 capital or 7,500, something like that. There's the ability to buy 3 licenses, and you can trade with 3 times 3,000 or 3 times 2,500 or 3 times 3,500, so that you will be able to triple that profit. If you just, or you could just buy 1 license, but then you could just trade with 1 micro and you need at least 2,500. But if you want to optimize your gains and you're trading with more capital and you want to trade it with, I don't know, 7.5, 10K, then you can think about buying multiple licenses and therefore optimizing the gain. And then you would want to buy this particular version so that you can trade with more capital, and you'll be able to trade basically multiple licenses. Okay, because to get the optimal gain, you need to trade with 2,500 capital for 1 micro. So if you just do the Explorer version, then you could do 1 account with 2,500. You could trade, there's no max to the capital, so you can even trade it with 7,500. But if you want to trade 3 micro accounts, 3 times 2,500, then you need to choose the builder version, so that you can trade 7,500, so you can trade 3 times 2,500, basically. Okay? And if you want to have unlimited licenses, you can do the last version. So this article, anyhow, that's really not my, I don't have any particular plan in this webinar. I'm just, freewheeling here together with you. So back to more important stuff maybe is here in this article at the top, basically a 70% win rate. And if you go down, you can find the backtesting, okay, in this article. So I'm presenting it to you, I will present it to you in this webinar, but if you're curious how to access it, you can find it there, all of that data. It discusses what style might be better for you, and the backtesting was done with Dukascopy, price feed, 99.9% modeling accuracy, so the highest level of accuracy. You can access the backtesting here, and also you can see the live trading account. So let's take a look at the remaining 2 years, 2018 to 2020. As you can see, 7,000 trades. So all in all, in those 4.5 years, I was correct about 12,000 trades plus. I think it's about 250 trades per month. The average win, average loss, about the same. Win rate, about the same. Profit factor, a little bit higher, 1.55 rather than 1.49 in those last 2.5 years. Once again, from January 2018 to July 2020, that's this year. And once again, this gain made on a 10K account, so it's 4 times as much on a 2.5K account. Of course, the drawdown is also 4 times as much, not 9, but 36% gain, going up to 180 instead of 45. What else can I say about it? What I like personally about this, why I like to invest in Zeus EA myself, is it's really like a monthly approach. You can see it is very consistent. Now these are relatively low numbers, so it might not be appealing for those that are looking for bigger numbers, but do keep in mind once again that this is a 10K account, so those levels are 4 times as high with a 2.5K account. So, but it's pretty consistent, and I like that. So here, this 2.8 is actually 11. If you quadruple that, this 1 is actually 4. Okay. Now in live trading, we started end of June, so we got close. Next week we'll be actually at 2 months of trading. Gain is 13.4. Drawdown is 12.3. This is trading with 2.5K, 2,500. A little bit of open floating loss at this moment, but still, even if we take that into account, it's up 10%. But typically, those trades get closed, and as we had here as well, equity curve is pretty smooth. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same. Look, profit factor, it's very stable, 1.53. Average winners, average loss is about the same. Win percentage might be slightly higher, but maybe 71 or 72, not much difference there. Last month, 9%. June, well, it was just trading a few days, right? It was the end of June, so don't get too discouraged by that, but still ended up plus. And this month so far, plus 3.6. So pretty much on track with live trading and pretty much trading in the same fashion as we see in the backtesting so far in almost 2 months of live trading. Now, 2 months is not that much, of course, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's so far these stats are confirming those 4.5 years of backtesting, and 4.5 years for a 5-minute chart is a lot, right? This is traded on the euro dollar 5-minute chart only. So I think that, as I said, I don't think this has to be one's only EA, but if it is the only EA, it's not a bad one either. It's the growth is maybe not as aggressive as with other EAs, but I think it adds a different flavor of consistency. Maybe that could be interesting for some traders, certainly for myself at least. Yeah, we have Marius actually trading the EA and saying it's working nice. So you have some feedback from not only us, but also other traders and users of this EA. All right, in the chat there. Are there any questions at this point that might be interesting for you to discuss? Let me know. I'm going to check out the Q&A form as well. Nothing in the Q&A form at this moment. So I'm going to add the Q&A link in the chat box. Feel free once again to reach out on anything, not only automated trading questions, but also just general questions about ECS Live. Sorry, Elite Currency, ECS Live as well, by the way. I meant to say Elite Currency. You can use that Q&A because this is an open, the main focus is on automated trading systems, but it is also just an open Q&A live webinar that we have on a weekly basis, once a week. Just to discuss really anything about trading you want, but with a focus on automated trading systems, because this segment, we are planning to grow this focus and approach certainly in 2020, if not even in 2021. We're going to have more EAs coming. The next EA on the list is another EA from Mislav Nikolic, the creator of Ultimate EA, with his Rush EA. That's coming soon. And we have London Open Advanced EA from Nenad Kirkes coming up. So 2 more in the near future, actually. When I mean near future, I mean really in the next weeks, not something months from now. But that said, I think that the Zeus EA is a very charming, stable, consistent kind of approach, and I like that about it. We can take a look, no questions so far, we can take a look at some of the other stats. Here you can see only trading euro dollar, hourly number of trades, with mostly in the London session, but some trades also in basically around the clock in a way. Busy EA. Slower start on Monday, more volume towards the end of the week. Risk of ruin, I think, is very interesting. So you can see the probability of losing 10%, 20%, 30%. Yeah, it's just all very, very small. Look how many consecutive losing trades you would need. It's crazy numbers of trades. Whereas if you look at the backtesting results, the max number of losses, I'm not sure if we have that data here, but I think it's just a couple of trades. So risk of ruin is, Yeah, it's just very small, as you can see. Um, yeah, so very interesting statistics, I think. And well, yeah, that was the main focus of today's webinar, actually. Just wanted to share this quite overwhelming backtesting, 4.5 years, once again, on a 5-minute chart yeah, is I think says a lot and speaks for itself in a way. So that's, yeah, the main thing for today. I think average trade length you can see here a little bit higher, but otherwise stats pretty much the same, as you can see. Some small differences, but pretty much the same no matter whether we look at 2016 or 17 or 2018, 19 or to 2020. So and the live trading looking a little bit different here with the Tuesday having a little bit more number of trades, but we're looking, of course, at quite a small data set, 2 months, almost 2 months compared to 4.5 years, of course. All right, well, traders, this is the data. And if you're interested in joining, feel free to check out this article here. This particular system is needed to buy a license. It is a one-time payment if you're not a member already, and you have then lifetime access for that one-time payment. And yeah, it depends if you join through our broker or if you want to trade with a broker of your choice. If you trade through our preferred broker, it is slightly cheaper. And you can find Zeus EA not only in this article, but also if you go to Forex and D services, Forex and CFD, and then you'll find Zeus EA here, and you can click on learn more. I guess that's it for today. Once again, thanks for joining. Appreciate your time and hope that Zeus EA, if you join, works well for you and for everyone. We'll be back next week with another automated trading system briefing. And well, otherwise, wish you a great remainder of August. Cheers. Bye bye.